everyone. Welcome to our latest edition of XP series. I hope everybody had their cup of tea, cup of coffee, or starting the day off, no matter from wherever time zone you have joined. So we usually do this as a recorded session, but this time is a little bit special. This time we are doing it live, and we're doing it across multiple platforms. And really thankful for everyone who has joined so far, and in the moments of joining to join us today for this session. So, uh, today's session, we're gonna again talk about some of our favorite topics, that is AI and automation, and specifically look at how companies like Bread Financial, companies like enterprises are looking at transforming quality engineering and how AI is adding value and how AI is helping shape the scalable testing pipelines. So it's no secret, like as software development speeds up, quality engineering teams are facing increasing pressure to deliver high quality products faster. Gen AI tooling like GitHub Copilot, Claude, Codex, and all of these tools are allowing developers to add more and more code. But at the same time, this code also has to be tested. And traditional testing methods is sometimes struggle to keep up, specifically where AI-based code generation comes into the play. And we also talk about in-sprint automation. So new features come in, people have to automate those and at the same time ensure existing pipelines work. So in today's session, we're going to explore how AI driven automation is revolutionizing the quality engineering space, how it is enabling teams to build scalable and resilient testing pipelines. We'll also want to discuss a little bit about how AI helps in things like predicting test outcomes, detecting anomalies, and optimizing test strategies. But we have a lot of questions in place to ask us joining our guest tonight. So we have Shiva Krishna Kothidyal, who is joining me today. He's a senior engineering manager at Bread Financial with over 19 years of experience in quality engineering, test automation, and platform engineering. Where at Bread Financial, he leads a team focused on modernizing test environments, integrating AI solution, and enhancing CI/CD pipelines. So Shiva, first of all, thanks for joining us today and coming on the show to share your insights.
Yeah, thank you, Mudit. Appreciate the background on the topic, and also thank you for having me here. And good morning, and good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, based on your time zone. But yeah, I love to speak about, share my experiences. And thanks to Lambda Test, recently you guys had a TestMU conference, great turnout. And I also heard about these monthly webinars. You guys are doing a great job, especially in this ever-changing things every day. And I think these kind of webinars will definitely help the quality engineering or the platform teams, to scale up to speed according to the industry trends. But thank you for having me here.
Thanks for your words of motivation, Shiva, and we really hope to continue doing these kind of events and hope to have your patronage for this as well. So, but yeah, jumping to the topic straight, right? So AI, and it's a very hot topic. It has been for I think few years now, but it's not just AI anymore. It's now the complete agentic workflow that is happening that has taken over. While a lot of traditional testing best practices still remain, AI has added a new, I'll say, element to it, a new paradigm to the overall ecosystem. So this is, in fact, what we wanted to start off is how exactly is based on your experience in building test automation, performance testing, even DevOps practices, how AI is changing the way quality engineering teams are approaching the overall software testing and, in fact, the overall product delivery.
Yeah, a great question, Mudit. Appreciate for asking that important question. I think this is an important in everyone's mind. Like, how can I use AI? How it will help my day-to-day job, right?
Yeah.
So traditionally, if you see, years ago, or even some of the large enterprise companies nowadays, they spent a lot of time in running the regression suits and creating the test. And then I know some of the organizations, they run the test overnight, that runs like 500 tests, 1000 tests, 2000 tests, that takes overnight, right? So how does AI help here, right? So AI definitely not a replacement for testers. I want to ensure that it is an intelligent assistant to embed the quality pipeline in the right way, right? So examples, different ways we can think about. I mean, I'll talk more about detail, in this meeting, but there are a lot of ways we can leverage AI to help the quality engineering's day-to-day life, right? Some of them are like, smart test selection, right? So using the AI models, what we can do is we can contextualize the models to see, what kind of code changes we're making, um, and what is the commit histories, and then also, uh, past defects and trends like that. That's an important, because one of this example is smart test selection is, you have a thousands of tests to run, right? And then you have to wait the whole cycle to complete, and then ship it to production, right? But rather, the smart test selection gives, for example, if I have a login module or a payment module, right? The engineer makes code changes only for the payment module. So we can train the AI models to pick only the payment related tests, right? So that saves a lot of time. Traditionally, let's say it takes 2 hours to run, the payment test itself may take less than 5 minutes or less than 10 minutes, right? So this is one of the ways where, AI can be leveraged to our SDLC lifecycle, right? And then the other one could be flaky test, right? So today, one of the biggest pain points for, I'm sure all the quality engineers have, is the flaky test, because of the waiting times or test data and dependencies, or updating the UI every time there is a change. Engineers do not communicate with quality engineers, and then the test fail. There's so many things, right? Using the AI, we can also predict, or we can kind of update the test. And there are a lot of AI mechanisms where the AI itself will update the locators and rerun the test and make sure the test pass. Is one of the examples, right? And then the other things are like primarily like anomaly detection, right? So there are a lot of hidden defects in reality, like um, that is only uncovered in production, because we always see that we signed off the test, and then we go to production, and then suddenly we see a production issue, right? And then those kind of things can be, also, AI can help in anomaly detection, like where it can continuously monitor specific things, specific telemetry data, and then whenever it flags any specific latencies or anything, it immediately flags the engineer, and then taking it forward, right? So these are some of the different ways, it helps the engineers, quality engineers, or the platform engineers, right? But it is also about the cultural impact. AI is primarily freeing up all the engineers repetitive validation, focusing on engineering quality rather than testing quality, right? That's an important piece. Like, we always focus on testing for quality, but then with the AI help, we can make the engineering quality that's important from a SDLC standpoint, right? And then it also helps us to curate the smarter frameworks, insights, and optimizing pipelines. And then the important thing is also, QE is always treated as a gatekeepers, right? Whereas with the AI, we can make them as enablers, right? Proactive rather than reactive. So there are a lot of ways which I'm going to talk about. Some of them, today. But yeah, there's a lot going on, in the industry.
So there's a lot to unpack in last 5 minutes. So we how is AI helping us out? I'm taking some notes. So to summarize, we have defect detection, we have auto heal, we have flaky test detection, we have anomaly detection, and that is in fact the best part is removing the focus of teams from doing manual redundant efforts, instead focusing more on the quality side of the application, instead of focusing making the overall process more scientific in nature, rather than doing just rote work. So that is, I will say, one of the biggest value add that AI based tooling is helping us out. So let's
Absolutely.
double click on a few of those things, right? And I feel that
Sure.
the first one is the prediction part that we were talking about, defect detection and prediction of test outcomes, and at the same time how that is going to help reduce manual effort. So, based on your experience, like what is the best use case of AI specifically for this thing, that how you predict test outcomes?
Yeah, I think a couple of things we are actually trying the smart test selection. We're training we are training the some of the models for the smart test selection. As I mentioned, gave an example when you have a payment module, you only run the payment related test because your test automation tests are huge. When
Mm,
you compare the whole organization, I mean, your Scrum team or your product teams might have a smaller suits like 300, 400 tests. But when you look at the bigger organization, when you run end-to-end test, it will be huge, right? So definitely, smart test selection is something is going to definitely play a great role, and we're actually working on it right now. Hopefully, in a sometime soon, we will have it implemented. We have a proof of concept done, and also another thing just to share. In one of the recent hackathons, we also did the smart test selection by training the models. And the cool thing is, it's not only about just the quality engineering side. This can be also leveraged for the engineers, primarily for unit test or integration test, component test, right? Because it saves times everywhere. Like, you don't need to run the whole set of tests. Typically, the unit test won't take much time, but still, there are certain integration tests or contract tests that will take time. So you can leverage this process, or this technique can be leveraged across the SDLC wherever it is applicable. So smart test selection is something we're definitely trying. And then the other thing is also about auto healing, right? So because this is one of the important things, for all the UI automation engineers, something they keep complaining about is like, hey, you change the UI, right? You did not
mm.
inform me. Rather, there are a lot of AI techniques are coming in, or the tools are there to leverage. Whenever there is a DOM changes, it automatically heals and then runs the test, right? So these are some of them practically we can apply and see a quick wins for the organizations.
So that also, in fact, kind of connects back with what we have been building here at Lambda Test, and feedback from more enterprise customers. So this is coming from my experience, is that yeah, a lot of AI-based tooling is helping us figure out what type of test to run first to build up a faster developer feedback time, and then maybe continue to run the rest of the tests to build up a confidence. So figuring out which test to run immediately based on, let's say, developer commit or based on business risk, that's significantly add value, specifically when developers have to wait to ensure whatever they have built is working or not, so that developer feedback time is reduced. And also connecting the dots, so if we are able to intelligently predict what to run and what would be the possible outcomes to figure out if that run fails, so that is something that is a great value add. But this is before running the test. Now once we have run the test, there are tons of logs, and figuring out what is breaking is becoming another challenge. And I think this is something we were talking about just right now: anomaly detection, figuring out
Correct.
defect
Absolutely.
detection, right? Flaky tests. So how is
Exactly.
exactly AI helping you out in all of those tasks?
Yeah, so I gave an example about one of the common problems the UI automation engineers always have is ever changing UI. There is no communication, collaboration. Things
Mhm,
happen. So with the AI techniques, there are some tools already available. I think an example, people who use Selenium, there is some plugin called Helenium, or you know Helenium. They call it as it can automatically, based on the UI changes, it adjusts the locators and then rerun, right? So that is a classic example of how things are changing and how the AI can help fix the test or ensure the stability of the test. So an example. And the other one is anomaly detection, as you mentioned, right? So anomaly detection is primarily, we have the AI tools or techniques available to it continuously looks at the logs, telemetry. Typically, let's say you have an API that always gives a 200 milliseconds as a response time. But
mhm.
whenever under specific data conditions or specific things, you have to wait for performance testing team to run a huge load test and gives the results, right? But whereas we can use the AI techniques to kind of flag the respective module when there is a deviation, it can alert, hey, this is somewhere, we predict that it's going to break. some kind of techniques where it could help us. Right? There are different ways. Flaky test is one, fixing the flaky test, anomaly detection, and then also defect trends, right? Where are, basically you can train the models. What are the different? It look at the historic trends and see what kind of changes are making, how what kind of defects are coming in. The AI can predict these are the areas to look at, or make sure that those are the areas are fully covered, right? So these are some predictive things that AI could help as we move forward, in the fast-paced environment.
So that's in fact another interesting aspect, which I also want to double click part on this is the auto heal aspect of things, right? So
Exactly.
uh, it's not just, in fact, even about locators anymore. Earlier, one of the way people used to work on auto heal is that whenever a test is built, instead of one locator, they cache in or store in all the locators, and if something breaks, instead of one, they try out other locators, and if something sticks, that becomes a auto heal thing. But now
Right.
things have advanced a little bit further than that. It's not just about the locator strategy anymore. It's more nuanced and, in fact, more context aware than that. So, have you seen
Absolutely.
this kind of feature set that is adding value to your, let's say, auto heal outcomes?
Definitely, definitely, we have seen, as you said, as you rightly said, it's not only just about locator; it's about the DOM changes, a lot of things changing in the UI. Especially, we have certain third-party tools, Salesforce or other tools where, there is a lot of releases happens, which is completely out of your control because they're third-party enterprise organizations, right? So some of these things definitely is going to help, to predict or to kind of auto heal and then run the test. So I've definitely seen some of these examples, practically how it helps. But yeah, to answer your question, yes, definitely, locators is like just a starter, but then there is a more to it. DOM changes, UI changes, it predicts and gives the complete PR, and then where you can review and approve and merge, and then things would go on, right? So that's the way, where we are trending towards, rather than one of the challenging things also, like, you spend a lot of time in debugging, analyzing, and things like that. However, with the AI help, it's much faster. Trust me,
Yep.
it used to take 4 hours, 5 hours, but with
Mhm.
this, it would be probably less than 10 minutes, less than 5 minutes, right?
And it
So
it also adds a lot to the resiliency of to the overall testing
exactly,
pipeline, right? So
that is important. Yes.
it's not just
Correct.
about building up, let's say, or figuring out what breaks. It's also about ensuring that it does not break further, or if a break happens, we are aware of why it is breaking. So let's listen some from your example, right? Like scalability and resiliency, how AI is kind of adding to that, specifically when we are doing at like releasing software at a very high speed.
Mhm. Yeah. So scalability is definitely, when originally when we started automation, people used to run a lot of tests, and then slowly we evolved, right, with the scalability. Traditionally it used to take like, probably to run 1,000 tests. People used to spend 8 hours, 9 hours running the test, right? So with the evolution of, devices like, Lambda test, browser stack, and things like that, things can run much faster, right? So scalability and parallelization is really, really important, because that will allow, to build the confidence, to trust the pipelines, to trust the automation, and then ship it faster, right? So, and there are a lot of things that, to enable scaling and parallelism. There are a lot of things that, as a quality engineers or platform engineers can think about, right? A lot of newer
Mhm.
techniques like, using the building the dockerization, and traditionally a lot of organizations also use the on-prem, they host their on-prem Jenkins or CloudBees or all these things. But with the cloud and all, it's much faster to adapt and then use it. I know Lambda Test has, not to promote Lambda Test product, but Hyper Execute is a great example. How do we scale? How do we run faster? I know there are a lot of other products available in the market as well with respect to the scaling and you know execute faster, right? The important thing is also about shifting left.
Mhm.
Traditionally people always, when you have QA, dev, QA. staging environments. People always used to test more on the on the staging environment right before it goes to production, right? But the important thing is shifting the left, and then also the important thing I'll say shift smart, not just the left, right? Not just test your pipeline just at a, early in the cycle, but also use these AI techniques that I'm talking about. Or there are more. I'm only talking about a very few here, but use those techniques and then catch these defects or issues early in the cycle, so that you can ship it much more confidence and faster.
Awesome, awesome. So now let's shift gears a little bit. Like we have been talking about how AI is adding value, how AI is helping. But for somebody who has still not started that AI journey, like they have still not started to add any AI agents into their existing quality engineering processes. So what would be your first advices as practical strategies on how somebody can get started and integrating AI in their quality engineering workflows without disrupting, let's say, their existing processes? Because that is the first ask everybody has, that I am not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to enhance it if it works. So, how exactly that looks for somebody who's just starting out in that journey?
I think it's a great question because a lot of the enterprise companies, they have their own processes or governance policies, etc. So it is important to understand how you can embed these AI techniques into your existing flows, right? So there are several ways I'll talk about some of the tools, and I'm not promoting any of the tools, but I'll tell what I know.
Now
But
you
there are
can promote
several
Lambda test.
available. I mean, I'm not paid for that, but
Yeah.
you are. But just kidding. But yeah, I'll talk about what I know, how the organizations are doing that. There are several things. For example, if people are using Cypress, recently they launched Prompt, where you can type in natural language and then it will convert into the script, right? That how cool is that? You just type in. I think just recently they launched and they had a webinar, multiple webinars recently. So Prompt is such a powerful technique where you just type in the natural language, and especially traditionally a lot of enterprise organizations still have the manual testers. They can leverage this and slowly become the quality engineers as that's right. And then Playwright also has agent q, where it's not like a natural language, but there are it will definitely use or give predict what we are trying to do in terms of scripting and then complete it, right? So for if you're talking about test case creation or script creation. Cypress has that, Playwright has this. And then also with respect to the, if you're talking about test case creation, right? I know Lambda test has Lambda test manager where you can feed in your requirements and it will convert into the test cases. A lot of these organizations now have, Tricentis has one, and a lot of organizations have converting these, uh, the requirements into test cases. That's one way to think. And then also going to the examples that I mentioned about maintenance, right? So Selenium is one thing where it will change, apply the strategy, and then auto heal the test, right? And then also the other examples I can give you is like GitHub Copilot, right? We have seen personally, we have seen in our organization where traditionally, like API test or some of these the scripting, the 60% code is already there. Like when you use the Copilot or these things, we can contextualize and give the right inputs, and then it will generate the 60% of code. How cool is that? Typically it takes 8 hours or 10 hours or 2 days to write this test, but then within 15 minutes you have the 60% of the code. Then as a quality engineer you just come and write the remaining, complete the rest of the 40%, right? Again, it has some caveats or trade-offs. Don't blindly trust the tool. It takes time, it takes years and years or maybe months and months time to train the models and then use it. And then Catalan has a tool as well, similar to Copilot, right? And Lambda Test also has a smart UI, thing as well. And then even also, not only that, not only with respect to the test case creation or maintenance side, even the on the observability side as well. Like Splunk has Dynatrace, New Relic. They all have the AI based related things that we can leverage and use it in our day-to-day practice. You can absolutely, I'm sure some of you might be using the tool, but you don't even know how you can utilize this in your day-to-day life. You can talk to them or go through the documentation, have a meeting with them, get more insights, how you can leverage those techniques to help your day-to-day life.
Cool. So another very interesting point we just clicked on that is do not trust the tool blindly, right? So what other I'll say words of caution uh, again somebody who's starting to implement, what other things they should be careful about before diving headfirst into maybe a tooling that they do not understand.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing is about it's a cultural shift basically, right?
Yeah.
So we need to see like every stage of life, like every stage of SDLC. Primarily, when you do the scripting or maintenance, my suggestion is to see slowly roll out. See,
Hmm.
pick up a module where you can leverage a small piece or leverage a small team where you can leverage and then see how it is helping, and then train your model slowly, make it better, and then slowly roll it out to the other teams, right? So that's a key, like slow and steady, slowly roll out and figure out how it is behaving, how it is contextualizing to your organization, because every organization has its own tools and processes, and you need to identify the right areas where you can apply them, right? Be it
Hmm.
in the optimization, be it in the creation, maintenance, or observability. There are several ways where you could apply and take it forward in your organizations.
So we are right on time. I think we just have a few minutes left, but I want to close the session with, I'll say, last conclusive lesson that you want to share with the rest of the, let's say, people who have joined us today, specifically from enterprises. Like, what would be the core lessons that you want to impart to them, specifically the quality engineering team who are in that transformational journey, that they can use to improve their testing practices?
Yeah, rightly asked, Mudit, because that's important. See, one of the important thing is QE treat the not only just for the engineers, even for the leaders or the C-level executives, right? My suggestion is treat quality engineering as a platform, not like a project, right? Hey, did we do testing? No, not like that. It's more about treat QA as a platform where shared framework, reusable framework, shared environments, self-service pipelines, utilities, test assets that could be used across the board. Because I've seen traditionally a lot of companies have team A, team B. They do a lot of redundancies, right? So treating QE as a platform will help reusable framework, shared environments. And the important thing I touched upon it slightly is about shift left, but also shift smart, right? So use these automation and AI together to identify the right areas so that we can catch the issues early in the cycle and then adopt the faster release cycles to the organization, right? And the other thing is also about observability. Observability is very, very important because a lot of times we don't there are a lot of hidden defects within the life cycle, right? As I mentioned, so use the telemetry data, logs, metrics, analytics, and get these insights, and then identify these things early. And the final important thing I'd say, build a culture of collaboration, right? That's really, really important. The culture is also, a lot of teams are resilient, not ready to move forward to adapt it, but slowly roll it out one at a time, and then leverage, these techniques, and then take the advantage of, the faster, uh, issues identification in this SDLC lifecycle, and then take it forward in everyone's organization.
Awesome, awesome. I think those were really, really great last lessons for everybody involved here to go back to their work or go back home to think upon. We covered a lot today in this session. We talked about defects, we talked about auto heal, we talked about flaky test, anomaly detection, and most importantly, we talked about best practices, the best engineering practices that from tool standpoint and from processes and culture standpoints, companies should be implementing. And again, Shiva, thank you for sharing your insights and all of these things. And I learned a lot, I'll say, and I'm quite sure people who have joined us today learned a lot as well. For people who may be asking this question, thus again, this session was recorded and we'll be sharing this across our YouTube channels and other platforms pretty soon. So you can go back and touch base. And if you have any questions for us, again, feel free to DM us. My LinkedIn, in fact, Shiva's LinkedIn is pretty much open. Feel free to reach out to us, or when we share this on YouTube, feel free to add in or ask your questions over comment there, over there as a comment, and we'll be happy to answer them. But yeah, again, Shiva, thanks for taking the time out and sharing your insights with us.
Thank you, Mudit, and thanks to Lambda Test for hosting these kind of webinars every month. This is really helpful for the lot of engineers because as I mentioned, like every day new technology is coming in, new things and new tools are coming in. I think these kind of webinars will definitely help a lot of engineers to upgrade themselves, especially with the AI and other things.
Yeah.
Keep doing this. Definitely whatever I could do, I'll definitely chime in and help the teams to share the knowledge and insights.
Thank you for words of motivation, Shiva, and for rest of the team people. Again, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We share a lot of these insights, what we are talking about over there. And yeah, looking forward to the next time we do the same again. Right, Shiva, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you
Everyone, have
everyone
a
for
great
joining.
day.